Yep. Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Yes? No?
Yeah, loud and clear, Mariya.
Fantastic.
So just a real quick introduction. For those who don't know Mariya, she is an urban air mobility advisor with a real strong aerospace engineering background. She's the co-founder of FlightCrowd, an open platform which supports the urban air mobility community by bringing together enthusiasts and experts both to educate and to grow the wider public interest in the vertical mobility industry as well. So without further ado, Mariya, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Really looking forward to your presentation. If you wanted to share your screen, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone. But hopefully you'll enjoy the following presentations. And yeah, it'll be slightly different, but hopefully, again, different perspective. Let me know what you think. Open to questions at the end. My presentation is going to be looking at urban air mobility and from the user perspective, and indeed talking about the public who is involved in the, or who is going to be involved indeed in the industry that we're all building. Probably some talking about some people who are not necessarily yet involved and how to involve them. But without further ado, let me begin. So a bit about ourselves. FlightCrowd, indeed, as Jason have currently mentioned, so we are an open urban air mobility community. We are there to support both the urban air mobility industry and also, of course, to support the community, the general public. We're there to educate, to grow the wider public interest in the future flight technology and future flight industry. And we do so through a number of projects as part of our project portfolio, from white papers to thought pieces to podcasts and webinars, and much more interactive events, and some of the activities that we're again going to be releasing very, very soon. FlightCrowd very much is there for you, for the community. Again, we're there to help you connect with your end user, connect with the people that you are going to be employing, and ultimately help support everything the industry is doing. Anyways, and just repeating myself, I'd rather talk to you about the presentation, and then hopefully all will make sense. So here I am, the need and the promise. And of course, we all know that, you know, urban air mobility started from populations continuing to grow and increased urbanization and traffic pushing our ground transportation to the limits. And really, we know that how much the traffic costs these days. In the EU currently, it costs around 100 billion euro a year and is predicted to increase to roughly 30 billion per year by year 2030. Road delays in the UK cost £9 billion per year, with an average London commute being around 75 minutes. We know that the ground transportation is not perfect. And as a result, we are demanding efficient and effective revolutionary mobility solution. Or else, of course, we are facing a potential of diseconomies and deteriorating quality of life and loss of economic dynamism. We already see ourselves being on the edge of that transport revolution with key UAM players like yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, on this call and this event, making significant progress almost on a daily basis, and the industry is being heavily funded and supported globally. There are some promises that are being made by the industry, and of course you're all aware of them. You know, it is about faster and more convenient travel. It's about the sustainable mobility, affordable fares and safe flight. And this is what urban air mobility presents in response to the previous global needs mentioned on the previous slide. It is very much about a safer, cleaner, faster and more integrated transportation solution. However, of course, we need to understand that the future of urban air mobility is reliant on the political, economical and societal landscape. There are certain factors that affect UAM operations, such as demand, affordability, infrastructure regulations, public acceptance that I really want to talk to you about. And however, if the promises and the predicted full market value are to actually be realized, this can only be done on the basis of inclusivity. This is what we believe in. In other words, we believe that the user should come first. And let's talk a bit about where urban air mobility is and what's ahead indeed. All of you are aware that urban air mobility is developing on the global scale, and there are currently over 400 registered designs of eVTOLs developed all over the world, and the different vehicle manufacturers are hoping to operate different missions, or indeed, shall I say, having a variety of business and use case scenarios. From scheduled flights to on-demand trips to public services like aerial firefighting and medical transportation to aerial rescue and everything in between. Sounds exciting and sounds very promising, doesn't it? However, while various industry stakeholders are preparing their roadmaps to introduce urban air mobility in different communities at scale, my question to you is how you, dear ladies and gentlemen, how you, my friends and colleagues, how many of you have or are designing your solutions, be it products or services, in consultation with, for example, disabled members of the society? Around 10% of the world's population face major mobility impairment challenges. We at FlightCrowd do see urban air mobility having the necessary potential to deliver an accessible transportation solution for thousands and millions of people around the world who struggle daily when it comes to accessing ground transportation services. How about people with neurodiversity, or even elderly or infants, who all require special attention when it comes to transportation? We need to ensure the entire urban air mobility ecosystem, including the vehicle, ground infrastructure, and digital platforms, are all designed with the end user in mind, fully taking into account the needs of vulnerable community members, as well as the non-traveling public. Talking about the non-traveling public, so the right-hand side of this slide, the UIM workforce is indeed another part of the puzzle. Once again, the question remains, how are we going to set an example of an inclusive industry, an inclusive workplace? How will we not only attract the attention and win the acceptance of the public, but inspire and encourage them to work in this industry? Which degrees and training is going to be necessary, and who will deliver and pay for these? In summary, how are we as an industry that is driven by innovation and striving to deliver a radical positive change to communities globally can support those often forgotten but very special individuals and communities indeed? And how can we address their needs and concerns through mobility solutions that we deliver? Let's talk a bit about the public perception and focus a bit more on the acceptance. Change of perception, I've got this slide, and indeed, you most probably are very familiar with these two vehicle manufacturers. One of them is EHang from China, the other one's Volocopter from Germany. If I was to quote the pre-COVID Airbus study, it highlighted that 55% of the respondents within the age range of 25 to 35 were in favor of urban air mobility. However, only 15% of the respondents within the age range of 75 to 85 were in support. To win the elder generation's support over, it will take more conscious effort from the UIM industry compared to the younger generations, who tend to be more adaptable to change. Yet the younger members of the public need to be educated on the potential of urban air mobility, the potential that this industry will bring upon mass-scale implementation, including the economical and social benefits. And the reason I've shown you this images is because I wanted to really put it into perspective when I changed the slide. And again, probably you're familiar with this, but how does your perception of the industry and the vehicle manufacturers change when you see these vehicles, not just in their hangars, not just nice, bright and shiny, but very much there doing something for the community, delivering a greater good? Furthermore, it's very, very important to inspire the future generations of young professionals, as well as the general public. Without targeting young people, they may not come across future flight technologies. Of course, now how flawed our educational system is, a lot of the time, urban air mobility, drones, future flight technology are not studied in university. Young professionals may just not be unaware of the potential career prospects which will become available as the industry scales up. Going forward, it is definitely essential for all key stakeholders within the urban air mobility ecosystem to focus on the end user since the very beginning of their journey. We must ensure that we've gathered the public support, confidence and acceptance from the start, without which the efforts will be futile. In our vision, public acceptance has the power to lead an industry to achieving new heights, or very much fail in it at its very inception. We strongly believe, as well as see the evidence of urban air mobility looking to adopt the technology to transport lives, improve mobility, connectivity, reduce road congestion, and better air pollution. The UAM industry certainly needs to make public aware of how future flight technology can be used to reach somewhere faster and safer, like to get someone to the hospital in an emergency in a congested city, deliver humanitarian aid, or indeed deploy to an area of firefighting solution like the one I've presented to you before. We know that a lot of the time fear comes from unknowing or not understanding the problem fully. And we as an industry should educate the public about this future ahead of us. We as an industry need to demonstrate how we can provide benefits to the wider community, with the general public seeing UAM as available to all, regardless of background, regardless of disability, and regardless of social status. Making UAM an accessible mode of transportation for those with physical disability should be accounted in the process of designing the UAM vehicles, as well as the digital and physical infrastructure. Users should truly be at the heart of the industry. And if integrated well, of course, there's loads of potential, and indeed it will help to increase accessibility, create jobs, boost economies, you know it all, I've mentioned it. Where does flight crowd come in? Very, very briefly, just mindful of the time. Flight crowd's role in this is, as mentioned before, we're working towards improving the public perception through various projects and outreach activities. And we're working very, very closely with the industry, not only here in the UK, but also overseas. We're very much a global community, to ensure that our resources are insightful and useful and accessible to all. Just a few examples of our projects. UAM Glossary was designed, again, very much to address the need of the global community that doesn't necessarily speak the same language of engineers and aerospace professionals who develop that certain language, acronyms and technical lingo. And so UAM Glossary is a compilation of key terms and definitions, and it is very much a growing resource. And again, very happy to take you offline with yourselves and talk about your potential contribution to this growing resource. This is very much done in collaboration with the industry. On contrary, school outreach, UAM Explore project, to be released on 4th of May. This is the image on the left-hand side is a little teaser from our project. Do follow us and do have a look at on 4th of May after the bank holiday weekend here in the UK. What we are going to be creating and what we are developing, again, to very much inspire the younger generation. And this is an outreach activity aimed at school children, 11 to 14 years old. And it's a set of posters, a quiz activity, again, very much introducing them to potential careers in urban air mobility. We don't think that UAM is just about the engineers or just about the data scientists or just about computer scientists or business people. It's about all of those and many, many, many more. So we don't want to lose students thinking, you know, I am in humanities and this is not applicable. We want to really inspire and influence everyone. Mindful of the time again, thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. This is my presentation. Again, I really hope that you'll be joining us on this future of making urban air mobility a reality, of this future of making urban air mobility a more accessible and inclusive reality and future for our children, our friends, our parents. Thank you very much for your time. I welcome your questions if we have any time for that. Probably Jason left me. Oh no, Jason's back. Yeah, great.
Here when to come on. Thank you ever so much for that, Mariya. Really, really brilliant insight as well. I am conscious of the time, but we have got a good question that has got some good votes from another of our speakers, Daryl Swanson. So he's asked Mariya, how are we going to help educate the wider public about the noise of AAM vehicles? Do we need a new language to describe AAM noise?
Thank you very much, Daryl. I think it's not just about developing a different language, it's about developing different means to describe noise. we're working not only with very much the industry professionals, the scientists and engineers, but also the creative communities, because we understand that not everyone thinks in numbers, not everyone thinks in figures, people think in visuals sometimes. And so describing the noise is, again, it could be very much and should be, I think, an immersive environment. We should be talking about people experiencing this rather than just listening and reading about noise. And indeed, I know there are a number of projects already around and developed currently in the pipeline to sort of help showcase how AAM noise level will be compared to, for instance, traditional transportation, ground transportation noise levels. So I think really it's not just about different words for the same things. It's not about the number of decibels. I think it's really about realizing, okay, maybe children need something better than the OEM glossary, for instance, that we're developing. Maybe children, for instance, need an animation, a very much an immersive experience, some kind of a activity that people can really take part in to experience it truly and not just read about it. So I think, yeah, in short, I think it's not just about developing the different language, it's about developing different experiences and ranges of projects. And that's why in Flight Crowd, we're very much understanding that we need to deliver projects for different demographics and mindful of that.
Perfect. Thanks ever so much for that, Mariya. We have got a few other questions, but I'm really conscious of the time, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got another good question from Nick, but what I'm going to do now is we're going to just come out of presentation mode and we're going to go back to the floor for the last half an hour or less than half an hour for networking as well. But thank you very much, Mariya and Daryl. Really appreciate your presentations. And I'd just like to throw out as well, if anyone else, companies is interested in being a presenter at our future Final Friday virtual networking events, please do get in touch, editorial@evtolinsights.com. Always happy to hear presentations such as Daryl and Mariya and hear your thoughts on how we can make it better. So for now, Daryl and Mariya, thank you ever so much, and I'll bring us back out of presentation mode and we can continue the networking. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.